Welcome to Lost at 3 a.m. Put your phone down, close your eyes, and let this be the last video you hear tonight. Relax, breathe, and let's begin. Tonight, we're descending beneath the streets of London, where a world of history, tunnels, and stories lies just below the surface. The London Underground, often called the Tube, is more than just a transport system. It's a living part of the city's history, a network of passageways that has connected millions of lives for over a century. As the world's first underground railway, it's seen everything, from Victorian steam engines to modern electric trains, from wartime shelters to abandoned ghost stations. Every line, every station has a story to tell, echoing with the footsteps of generations past. So as you listen tonight, let yourself drift back in time, through dimly lit tunnels, the quiet hum of a distant train, and the soft echo of footsteps on tiled platforms. Let the stories of the underground guide you gently into peaceful sleep. Let's begin. The story of the London Underground begins in the 19th century, during a time when London was struggling with overcrowded streets and chaotic traffic. Horse-drawn carriages clogged the city, and there was a desperate need for a better way to move people through the heart of the capital. The idea of an underground railway seemed almost impossible at the time. Digging tunnels beneath a city as vast and old as London came with countless challenges. But in 1863, the world's first underground railway, the Metropolitan Railway, was opened. It ran steam-powered trains between Paddington and Farringdon, cutting travel times dramatically and forever changing the way cities would think about public transport. At the time, the tunnels were constructed using a method called cut and cover, where trenches were dug along the streets, then covered back over after the tracks were laid. It was a noisy, disruptive process, but it worked, bringing the vision of underground travel to life. Imagine the experience of riding that first train, dimly lit carriages, the hiss of steam filling the tunnels, Victorian gentlemen in top hats and women in long dresses, amazed at the idea of travelling beneath the city's surface. It was revolutionary, and the success of the Metropolitan Railway inspired further expansion. By the 1890s, the City and South London Railway became the first line to use electric trains, eliminating the smoke and steam that had once filled the tunnels. This shift made the Underground more practical, cleaner, and ready for a new era of growth. The Underground wasn't just a technical achievement, it was a glimpse of the future, a city learning to move faster, smarter, and more connected than ever before. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the rumble of those early steam trains echoing softly through the tunnels, a city discovering the rhythm of underground travel for the very first time. As the London Underground expanded, so did the need for a clearer way to navigate its growing maze of tunnels and stations. The network was becoming vast, and the old maps, crowded with winding lines and complex details, made it difficult for passengers to find their way. That all changed in 1931, when a man named Harry Beck, an electrical draftsman, introduced a groundbreaking idea. A map not based on geography, but on clarity and simplicity. Beck realised that the physical distance between stations didn't matter as much as showing the connections between them clearly. His design was revolutionary. The tube map became a diagram with clean, straight lines, colour-coded routes, and equally spaced stations, whether they were a short walk apart or miles away. The Central Line turned red, the Piccadilly Line blue, the Northern Line black, colours that are still iconic today. At first, his design was rejected. It was too abstract, too modern for its time. But when the map was finally published, passengers immediately embraced it. It made navigating the Underground effortless, turning a complex system into something elegant and easy to understand. Over the decades, the map evolved, but Beck's influence never faded. His principles of clarity, simplicity, and design perfection remain. Even today, modern subway systems worldwide have drawn inspiration from the London Tube map. The expansion of the network didn't stop either. New lines were added, reaching deeper and further across London. The Victoria Line, the Jubilee Line, and more recently, the Elizabeth Line continue to shape the city's underground landscape, connecting millions of people every day. Yet, beneath the modern trains and polished platforms, the map is still a symbol of progress, design brilliance, and how a city learned to move together. As you drift off tonight, picture the glowing tube map, its coloured lines weaving a quiet pattern beneath the city, guiding people home, just as it has for generations. Beneath the busy platforms and crowded tunnels of the London Underground, there lies a world forgotten by most, a hidden network of abandoned stations, silent tunnels, and secret passageways. These ghost stations tell stories of a London long past, where the echoes of history still linger just out of sight. Take Aldwych Station, for example. Once part of the Piccadilly line, it was closed in 1994 due to low passenger use. But its story didn't end there. During World War II, the station was repurposed as a secure storage space for valuable artworks from the British Museum, protecting them from bomb damage. Today, it remains preserved, often used as a filming location for movies and TV shows, including Sherlock and V for Vendetta. Then there's Down Street, a station that closed to the public in 1932, but served a secret purpose during the war. Hidden deep underground, it became a secret bunker for Winston Churchill and his war cabinet, offering a safe, concealed command centre during the height of the Blitz. Imagine the quiet hum of war discussions, echoing in the dark, while London shook above. Some stations were abandoned due to shifting lines and expansions. British Museum Station, for example, was once located near the museum, but was closed when the nearby Holborn station expanded, making it redundant. Rumours even circulated that the station was haunted, with sightings of a mysterious figure believed to be connected to an ancient Egyptian mummy. These forgotten spaces still exist, sealed behind walls, their entrances bricked up and hidden from view. But in rare cases, they resurface. Euston's lost tunnels and parts of the old Northern Line can still be glimpsed during special guided tours, frozen in time with vintage posters peeling from the walls. Abandoned, but not forgotten. These spaces remind us that the London Underground is more than just a transport network. It's a living piece of the city's history, with layers waiting to be rediscovered. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the quiet stillness of those hidden platforms, the sound of footsteps long gone, and the gentle echo of a train passing through tunnels, once alive with movement, now resting in silent history. The London Underground isn't just a marvel of engineering, it's a masterpiece of design. From its early days, the tube has been shaped not just by functionality, but by beauty, art, and iconic architecture that turns stations into works of art beneath the city. Consider the early work of Leslie Green, the architect behind some of the most recognisable tube stations, like Covent Garden, Russell Square, and Mornington Crescent. His signature style? The deep red oxblood terracotta tiles on station exteriors, paired with large arched windows. These bold facades still stand today, instantly recognisable as part of London's transit history. But the tube's design didn't stop there. In the 1930s, the Piccadilly line saw a new wave of modernism led by Charles Holden, whose stations like Arnos Grove and Southgate embraced bold, geometric shapes and clean lines, influenced by European modernist design. Concrete, glass, and open spaces made these stations feel modern and forward-looking, symbols of progress and movement. Even the tiling inside the stations tells a story. Each platform was designed with unique tile patterns and colours, helping passengers identify where they were, even before clear signage became standard. For example, Baker Street pays homage to Sherlock Holmes with silhouettes of the detective worked into the wall tiles. And then there's Westminster Station, a marvel of modern engineering. Its industrial design, with exposed steel beams and cavernous concrete spaces, feels almost futuristic, reminding us how the tube continues to evolve while honouring its architectural roots. The design choices weren't just about beauty, they were practical too. The round tube logo, known as the roundel, was introduced to ensure station signage stood out clearly, with its bold circle and horizontal bar becoming one of the most recognised symbols in the world. Simple, yet timeless. The beauty of the underground lies not just in its tunnels, but in how it blends history, function, and design seamlessly. Each station, whether old or new, feels like a part of London's identity, an underground art gallery woven into the pulse of the city. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the soft glow of station lights, the tiled corridors whispering with stories of travellers past, and the gentle hum of a train pulling into the platform. Timeless, elegant, and full of history. During World War II, the London Underground transformed from a bustling transport system into a sanctuary, one that provided shelter, safety, and hope during some of London's darkest nights. When the Blitz began in 1940, German bombers rained destruction on the city, and the people of London were forced to seek refuge wherever they could. The deep tunnels of the London Underground, originally built for trains, became life-saving air raid shelters, offering protection from the chaos above. Entire families would gather underground, carrying blankets, pillows, and whatever personal items they could. Some stations, like Aldwych, Belsize Park, and Clapham South, were transformed into makeshift dormitories, with bunks lining the platforms. The tunnels echoed with the quiet sounds of conversation, the soft shuffle of people settling in, and the distant rumble of bombs overhead. In these moments of fear, a sense of community emerged. People shared stories, meals, and music. Children played quietly in the corridors, while volunteers brought food and medical aid. The underground became more than just a shelter. It was a symbol of resilience. One of the most remarkable stories came from Bethnal Green Station, where thousands took refuge night after night. Despite the fear outside, there was a spirit of defiance underground, as Londoners refused to be broken by the bombing campaign. The tube even served as a secret space for Winston Churchill and his government. Down Street Station, long closed to the public, was converted into a wartime bunker, where critical decisions about the fate of the war were made. Imagine Churchill himself, deep beneath the city, planning strategies while the world above shook with the sound of conflict. Today, some stations still bear scars of those times. You can find blast marks on the tiles, remnants of an era when the underground served as both a battlefield and a place of hope. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the quiet hum of a wartime station, dim lights reflecting off the tiled walls, the sound of distant footsteps, and the warmth of people gathered together, finding courage in the depths of the earth. Beneath the streets of London lies a hidden world few get to see, a labyrinth of secret tunnels, forgotten passageways, and restricted areas of the London Underground that carry their own fascinating mysteries. Some of these tunnels are relics of history, long since abandoned but still quietly existing beneath the modern city. Take the Mail Rail, for example, a completely separate underground railway, hidden away from public view. Built in 1927, it was designed to transport mail between sorting offices across London, operating with driverless electric trains long before automation became common. Though it ceased operations in 2003, parts of the system remain preserved, frozen in time with old mailbags and rusted tracks still in place. Then, there's the mysterious deep-level shelters. Built during World War II, these tunnels beneath stations like Clapham South and Goodge Street were designed as bomb shelters, but were later adapted for other purposes, including housing troops and even refugees from the Caribbean arriving on the HMT Empire Windrush. But perhaps the most intriguing secrets lie in the government tunnels, rumoured to stretch beneath London, including the restricted corridors connecting Whitehall and Downing Street. Some claim that these tunnels were designed as escape routes for high-ranking officials during wartime, while others suggest they were used for secure communication lines during the Cold War. Certain parts of the underground remain completely off-limits to the public. Tunnels beneath Charing Cross Station, for example, are now used for training emergency services, while others are completely sealed off, their platforms frozen in time with vintage advertisements still clinging to the walls. And then there are the whispers of strange echoes, unexplained noises, and sightings in forgotten tunnels. The legend of British Museum Station, closed in 1933, still lingers with stories of strange figures seen late at night, tied to an ancient Egyptian mummy supposedly connected to the museum above. These hidden spaces remind us that the London Underground is more than just a transport system. It's a living, breathing piece of the city's history, with layers that few get to see. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine those quiet, forgotten tunnels, dimly lit, the soft drip of water echoing off stone walls, and the sense that somewhere, deep beneath the city, history is still waiting to be discovered. The London Underground isn't just historic, it's filled with quirky facts and unusual bits of trivia that make it even more fascinating. Beyond the tunnels and trains, there are countless oddities hidden in plain sight beneath the city. For example, did you know that Angel Station has the longest escalator on the network? Stretching 197 feet, 60 meters long, it feels like a descent into the heart of the earth, with a gentle hum echoing as you travel deeper underground. On the opposite end, the Waterloo and City line is the shortest line on the entire network, covering just 1.5 miles between two stations. Originally built to shuttle workers between Waterloo Station and the City of London, it's often nicknamed the Drain, due to its short, direct route. Then there's Baker Street Station, which holds the title for the most platforms of any station on the tube, with 10 platforms serving multiple lines. Fittingly, the station's walls are adorned with silhouettes of Sherlock Holmes, paying tribute to the legendary detective who called Baker Street home. Ever noticed that the trains on the Waterloo and City line and Central line feel smaller than the others? That's because they run on deep-level tube lines, designed for narrower tunnels compared to the wider, older lines like the District and Metropolitan. Some fun quirks? The tube once had ghost trains, services that ran without passengers, mainly for testing or moving empty carriages between lines. And if you ever hear the name Pudding Mill Lane, it's not a joke. It's a real station on the DLR, named after a historical mill that once stood nearby. Of course, one of the most famous pieces of tube trivia is the phrase, "mind the gap." Introduced in the 1960s, it became necessary as certain platforms curved, leaving a gap between the train and platform edge. The voice behind the announcement became so iconic that it's still used in stations today, with variations recorded for different lines. There's even a lost river flowing beneath the underground. The River Fleet, one of London's buried rivers, runs directly under stations like Farringdon and King's Cross, occasionally causing the sound of running water deep below the platforms. These small details and quirks make the London Underground not just a transport system, but a place full of hidden wonders and charming oddities, where every station has a story and every line its own character. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the quiet click of escalators, the rhythmic sound of a train pulling away, and the soft echo of a voice reminding you, mind the gap. The sounds of the London Underground are as iconic as the system itself, from the rhythmic hum of trains to the unforgettable voice reminding passengers to mind the gap. The tube has developed a unique soundscape that has become a defining part of London's identity. It all starts with the trains, the gentle whoosh as they approach, the low rumble of the wheels on the rails, and the sudden burst of air as the doors slide open. These sounds aren't just mechanical noise, they're the heartbeat of the city, echoing through tunnels that have carried passengers for over a century. And then, of course, there's the famous Mind the Gap announcement. First introduced in 1969, it was designed to warn passengers about the space between the curved platforms and the straight-edged trains. The original voice belonged to Peter Lodge, a sound engineer whose calm, clear delivery became instantly recognizable. His recording was so iconic that, after his passing, his widow would visit certain stations just to hear his voice echo through the tunnels. Proof that even the smallest sounds can leave lasting memories. The chime before the doors close is another signature sound. That simple, melodic ding-ding-ding was carefully designed to be both calming and urgent, a subtle reminder that the doors were closing while blending seamlessly into the station's atmosphere. But the sounds of the tube go beyond the announcements. In deep-level stations like Jubilee Line's Canary Wharf, you might hear an eerie, almost musical wail caused by the air pressure as trains enter and exit the tunnels. It's a sound unique to the shape of the tunnels, giving those stations a haunting, almost otherworldly feel. Even the escalators have their own rhythm, the soft click of moving steps paired with the mechanical hum, creating a soothing white noise as commuters ascend and descend. And let's not forget the buskers, licensed musicians who fill the corridors with music. From classical strings echoing in South Kensington to the soulful sound of a saxophone in Leicester Square, the music adds warmth to the cold tile walls, reminding us that even in the busiest spaces, creativity finds a way. The soundscape of the London Underground is more than background noise. It's the pulse of the city, a symphony of movement, voices, and echoes that have remained familiar for generations. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine the soft hum of a train in the distance, the gentle chime of doors closing, and the faint echo of a voice reminding you, mind the gap, as the city gently fades into silence. The London Underground is more than just a transport system. It's a symbol of movement, history, and connection. For over 160 years, it has been the lifeblood of London, carrying millions through the heart of the city each day. But beyond the trains, tunnels, and maps, the tube represents something deeper. The way a city breathes, adapts, and moves together. It's a place where stories unfold, passengers lost in thought on their morning commute, friends reuniting on platforms, quiet moments of reflection during late-night journeys. The Underground has witnessed generations of life, from the excitement of the very first steam trains to the silent courage of those who sheltered here during the Blitz. It's a space where design meets function, where the Roundel logo, the familiar map, and even the sound of the doors closing have become part of the city's identity. The tiled corridors and curved tunnels aren't just practical, they're part of the fabric of London, carrying echoes of the past alongside the rush of the present. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about the London Underground is how it reflects the city's spirit, a place where millions of stories intersect, strangers sharing space, yet connected in a quiet, unspoken way. It's a reminder that we're all part of something larger, moving forward together, even when we feel alone. So as you close your eyes tonight, picture the tunnels quiet and still, the last train fading into the distance. Imagine the glow of station lights reflecting on worn tile walls, the soft echo of footsteps long gone, and the steady heartbeat of a city resting, just for a moment, before a new day begins. Thank you for spending your evening with Lost at 3 a.m. Sleep well, and let the rhythm of the city carry you gently into your dreams.